excited today because mostly it's my guest and then also it's the topic that we're going to talk about. But let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been trying to get this man to come on the podcast. It's been like an enigma. But now he is here. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Kevin. He used to leave you craving on the airwaves.
Drum roll.
Kevin!
What's up?
Are we still leaving people craving?
I would say, I don't want to say not anymore, but maybe I would say differently. In a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in a different way.
In what kind of way?
Is this a family show?
Okay, no. Please.
No, we don't want to get into that. We don't want to get into that.
Some other time.
Some other time.
Some other time, please.
Maybe
How have you been?
Maybe when the cameras and the mics are on.
Yes.
Been okay, can't complain.
It's been ages.
It's been ages. It's been years. We were discussing how long it's been. Can't believe
Too
it's
long.
been almost 10 years, probably.
Probably. If we're being 10 years. If you don't have the whole, how are you doing? Long time, but just seeing each other, 10 years. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably 10 years.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
But before we begin, I have to make a confession. It's something that I had been mulling over, on my drive here the whole time. I was just like, I need to make a confession before we start.
I'm not a priest, by the way.
Yeah, but like, you're a person. And I was like, you know what, I need to make this confession because,
Okay.
it's on my way here. I ran over Chameleon.
A chameleon?
Not the rapper, a chameleon.
Okay.
A chameleon. I ran over a chameleon, because it was just there trying to cross to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And me and my big tires just had to.
So wait, what? You're worried that your car is going to start changing colors or something?
No, I just thought the car would, flip, and because I ran over one of the sacred creatures of nature, and
Is it though?
but it feels,
Sacred?
it is.
Oh, okay.
I feel lighter now that I confess that. Now we can begin. Yay! I ran over to me. So now December continues to be the most popular time of the year for couples to get engaged or get married. Oh, you good there?
Yeah. It's the left.
So we figured now would be a good time as any to address what a shut-up ring is and why you should never, ever settle for one. Think long and hard, because I want you to be honest and I want you to be open. If you've ever given anybody a shut-up ring, now is your time to confess.
I didn't know that I was coming to make confessions.
Let's get into what a shut-up ring is. Let me just explain what a shut-up ring is.
Yeah.
A shut-up ring is a ring that is given to a woman in order to get her to stop focusing so much on getting engaged or married.
Like, shut up. Stop talking
Yes.
about this. Hold on
Here.
to this in the meantime.
Yes. Yeah, that's what a shut-up ring is.
I think I've heard of it through or by a different term. A promise ring.
No. Can we just get this straight?
Yeah.
A promise ring. Oh no, wait, that's a. Wait, what's that ring they would give to say? Oh, it's a purity ring, I think. Okay, what?
How
Okay,
many rings are there?
I thought a promise ring was a ring that they gave to say, okay, it's me and you, and we're going to stay true to each other and we'll stay pure until we get married. This whole time, that's what I thought a promise ring was.
Well, frankly, I'm not an expert at this. I'm just giving my opinion, my understanding about the whole
So
thing.
a promise ring was a ring you gave to someone to say, okay, nkakupa, just not now.
Wait, are you talking about me or are we talking
No,
in general?
in general. In general, sir, in general.
My understanding is a promise ring and a shut-up ring. Almost the same.
Almost the same.
Almost the same. Because
Okay.
I would want to believe that a promise ring is something that you give to someone to say, before we get to the actual engagement, I'm promising you that we're going to get there. Okay? I'm promising you that it's just you and me. But before we get there, hold on to this. I think if you call it a shut-up ring, it's probably just a sarcastic way of saying the same thing. Say, stop making noise about us getting engaged. Here, shut up.
And when you look up the term "shut up," it's not exactly. It doesn't ring endearment or oh my goodness, you're my person.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It's just like look it up. Just shut up.
And that's what I'm saying. It's more like a sarcastic way of referring to a promise ring, I think, because a promise ring sounds more, more formal, more loving. Like, look, we're gonna get there. I promise you, we're gonna get there. But for now, just hold on to this. But a shut up ring, if you call it that, kind of sounds like you're making too much noise about this. Here, hold on, something that I can even throw at you. I mean, from the term itself, shut up. Here, hold on to this. Shut up. Stop making noise about this. We're still together. That's what I think.
You said you get engaged. You give the ring and you're getting engaged. Fine. You give the ring. You get engaged. Traditionally, planning a wedding takes what, 12 to 18 months?
Depends.
12 to 18 months, maybe 24 months, give or take.
Depends.
So you
can take longer or less. Depends.
Wait, speaking of longer, we need to dive into that because I do know a couple of people that have been engaged for like a really, really long time.
Yeah.
So I think if you've declared you're going to get married, like your intention, you've engaged somebody, I don't think it should take you longer than past 24 months to get engaged. You've declared, oh listen, I'm ready to marry you. You declare on your social accounts and you're like, oh look, ring on it, we're engaged.
Yeah.
Then now, well, people are waiting. Months are going, years are going, and nothing's happening.
First of all, in your introductory remarks, you mentioned what you were saying that, we're going to be talking about the shut up ring and why you should not settle for it. I don't know if you shouldn't settle for it. Because first and foremost, it's an action.
Okay.
It is an action. Okay. It's better than nothing. It's better than just going and going. I think it's a step from boyfriend and girlfriend.
So when you say it's better than nothing, what do you mean?
My understanding is you start dating. First of all, maybe some people start off as friends, but then you start dating, and then as you're dating, you get to know each other, you like each other more. You make the conscious decision to get married.
I don't like the way I laugh, but okay. Make the conscious decision.
Yeah, you make the conscious decision to get married, and before you get married, there has to be an engagement. Okay, in most cases. But my understanding is the whole engagement action has things attached to it. Certain conditions have to be met. Certain things have to be done. There are certain actions that have to be taken. For example, maybe there's the issue of taking each other to the families. There's the issue of consultation. And in some cases, there's the issue of permission. In some cases, not every case. There are some cases where the family allows you.
Kufika.
Yes. Your family. For example, my family can tell me to say, you know what, you're not ready to do this. Or, first of all, you need to fulfill this, and that. Depends on where I'm coming from. And the girl's family or the woman's family can also say, no, you know what, firstly, maybe you as the lady are not ready. Or they feel the man has to fulfill certain conditions in life. Okay? So, point is, the whole engagement process or the whole engagement action has certain things attached to it. So it doesn't happen in a vacuum. So before those things are met, for you to now engage someone, there's a period in which all those things have to be done. Okay? But during that period, how does one of the two, mostly the woman, believe and trust that we are actually going to get to that point? Yeah. I think that is where now you bring in what we are now calling the shut up ring. I think the name is
The shut up ring.
Yeah, the shut up ring kind of sounds like you're really making sense. It's like you're pushing me. You're pushing me.
Well,
But
yes.
but if we really have to look at it from the reason point of view why it's given, I would want to believe it's a genuine reason. Look, your family needs to know me. My family needs to know you. In some cultures, there's even getting permission from your parents. I as a man, I
Yes.
go to your father and say, I would like to take your daughter, blah, 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 and stuff like that. Exactly. And the father can say no.
Nope.
Yeah, the father can say no. But so there's a process to that. And that process is not a one-day process. It may not be a one-year process. I don't know how long it takes. But during that process, how do you know that I'll stay with you? How do you know that it's just you and me? I've chosen you and we are going to get engaged and ultimately get married. So for you to know, here's something to remind you that I have chosen you and I will ultimately engage you and marry you. That's how I see it.
But do you think a shut up ring is something that you have to fight for?
No. I think if you're fighting for it, that's why we're calling it a shut up ring.
Let me give you a scenario. I did pose a question and I got back someone saying, I fought for it. I fought for him to recognize the relationship, that something was serious and it mattered. I fought for him to see me, to see my worth, and need him to consider taking the next steps.
Yeah.
So he proposed. She says he proposed. After that fighting, and the whole time I'm reading this, I'm just thinking, oh, you fought? Should you have to fight for this though? Like, should you have to, like, that's a lot. Only for them to break up 2 months later. So then she realized
it wasn't worth fighting for in the
Yes.
first place. If you're going to fight for something from the very onset, I think that already gives you an indication that either it's not meant for you or it's just not supposed to be. Anything. If you're going, especially when it comes to relationships are a two-way thing. It's if I'm into a person, the person doesn't need to fight for me to make a certain move. After all, when we started dating, I don't think that the person fought for me from the very onset. In most cases, us as men are the ones who approach women. In most cases, we approach the women.
The hunter.
Yes, if we get to a point where she now has to fight for me to make the next step, then that in itself is a sign that maybe this is not supposed to be. However, what we are calling fighting for something could easily be just a reminder, which is not bad in itself.
really?
Yeah, a reminder is not bad, because as human beings, we get preoccupied with a lot of things. Again, especially men in a family setting. Traditionally, a man is a provider. So maybe, just maybe, you get preoccupied with the whole process of providing. And don't forget that I'm not just providing for you as my girlfriend, I'm providing for my family as well. So maybe I get preoccupied. A reminder to say, you know what, we still haven't talked about when we are going to do this, when we are going to do that. And then I say, okay, we're going to talk about it. 6 months down the line, again, a reminder to say, you know what, we still haven't sat down to talk about this. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And maybe, if I'm the one who's looking at it, I would say she's pushing me. She's fighting for it.
Pressure.
She's pressurizing me. But just the lady just sitting and waiting is also not a good idea. I think she has the right, because she is in the relationship. She's part of the relationship. I think she has the right, knowing where she wants to go, especially if there was an agreement from the very onset that we're going to get married. A reminder is not a bad idea. But maybe, how often do you remind the person, and how do you do the reminding itself?
Yes.
Maybe that's what is interpreted as fighting for something, or pushing for something, or giving pressure. And then we say, shut up, get this ring. So yeah, first of all, fighting for something it shouldn't be. But reminding someone that we agreed that we're going to do this. When are we going to do it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I have a friend who is abroad now. He's in the diaspora, and he says he's been in a relationship with his person for 4 years. So recently, hence why I came up with this whole thing. Like, wait a minute,
4 years.
4 years. I've been together for 4 years. So recently, she's been like, yo, I want to get married type thing. So he goes, I got so tired of hearing it, Sam. I just finally said, okay, here's a ring. There you go, type of thing. I was like, okay, was she happy? And he says, yeah, she was happy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, are you happy? And he says, I just did it for her, just to get her off my back.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay, well then, so what's the next step? He goes, I don't know. She wanted the ring, she got it.
So he doesn't even have a plan for it.
Yeah, so she got the ring. She wouldn't stop talking about it. So here it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, that's a shut up ring.
It is. But look, you have to look at this from two different perspectives. Who are we really shutting up here first? Is it the woman or the man? On the face of it, it sounds like we're shutting the woman up for constantly saying,
I want to get
engaged, I want to get married, I want to get married. But to me, it almost comes out like, especially if the guy actually does it to shut the woman up, it's almost like you're shutting yourself out as well as a man, you know.
How so?
Because of the fact that, look, when we started dating, there had to have been a plan.
Okay.
Yeah, there had to have been a plan. We can't just date.
But then again, if you're saying there had to have been a plan, you don't know if you want to be with this person in the next 3 months, in the next 4 months.
True. But there should be not even a generally agreed time period, but there should be a time period, even just for me as an individual, within which I should be able to decide whether I want to be with this person or not. And that period should be reasonable. It should be reasonable. I don't know how long it should be, but it should be reasonable.
What, is 3 months reasonable?
It depends on the two individuals involved.
Okay.
3 months has been reasonable for certain people before.
But people want to know what's happening within a month, 2 months, maybe?
There are people who've met each other today, 3 months down the line, they got married. And they're still together.
And they're still together?
Yes.
That's...
So it actually depends on the two individuals involved. 3 months is reasonable for some. 1 year is reasonable for some. 10 years is reasonable for some. But when you're talking about reasonable, you have to look at it from both individuals. 10 years could be reasonable for me, but is it reasonable for you? You get the point. 3 months could be reasonable for me, but is it reasonable for you? And that is why there should be a conversation around it. If within 3 months I feel I've known you enough and I want to engage you, I shouldn't just pop up and say, here's a ring, I want to engage you. I think there should be a conversation around it. I think this is where we are seeing people who engages bang rely on Wamukan. Because they are no names mentioned. There needs to be a conversation about it. To say, look, I think I've known you enough, and I think I've decided that you're the right person. Yes, it's only been 3 months, but the things that I'm looking for in a woman, I've seen them in you. It's only been 3 months, but I've seen them. There's no need for me to wait. Then you also say, wait, 3 months, you know me, fine. I totally understand.
I need more time.
I don't know you yet. So can I get to know you? Yeah.
Does anybody really ever know anybody though?
No, absolutely
Because
not.
I believe that with people, they will show you a certain side, and then I feel like that's
if everyone gets to know everyone, there wouldn't have been divorce.
Sorry. What?
If everyone gets to know everyone, you asked, does anybody ever get to know anybody? I don't think anybody gets to know anybody. If we got to know everyone, like me, I get to know you, there would be no divorce.
So you think if someone shows themselves all the sides, good, bad, ugly, moderate, lukewarm, there would be no
Yeah.
issues.
Because you would know from the onset what to expect. So if it pops up in marriage, it's something that you already seen and probably prepared for it, how to take care of it. Then if it pops
Trust
up,
and believe that I'm going to come back with this one. We need to have a conversation around this one because, I mean, people be hiding who they really are.
oh yeah,
They hide it so well.
yeah.
And then, boom,
We-
I
we-
saw Kulang Shafiat. Ha!
We all are.
I say it's a new
We all are
starring.
hiding a
Ha!
certain, yeah.
Ha! Guys.
Yeah. And I think we are all guilty of that. Every human being is guilty of that.
Who?
It's a defense mechanism of some sort. We don't show all the cards. No human being ever shows all the cards.
I feel, oh my God. I'm not perfect and I'm not blowing my own horn. I'm sure there are probably people who know me who say, yes, I'm lied about that part. I'm passionate. I'm passionate. And I feel sometimes that's misinterpreted as being too sensitive. So if I show you this, I don't think most people know how to handle that. They're like, wait, what? Oh no, but you're too
Yeah.
sensitive, you're too. We are completely digressing from the shut up ring. But you just said, if people showed who they really were, there would be no divorces. Oh no, shut up rings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
No,
I mean, you shut up someone and then you're just there
Yeah.
flailing about, not knowing where you're going. You're just like blowing with the wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then why do it in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. But I think the question should be, is there really anything wrong with the shut up ring? One. Two, at what point should you give a shut up ring?
There's everything wrong with a shut up ring. Because you're just telling me, okay, here it is. I've put a ring on her finger.
Yes.
You are basically keeping me from. What if the next person who I'm supposed to be with, but because you put this thing on my finger?
Yes, but
And then if I meet
the question should be, by giving you that shut up ring, am I saying that I won't engage you? That's the question. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, shut up with this whole engagement thing for now. For now. Because if I don't want to engage you, I'll tell you and I'll leave. But if I give you,
when you tell me no.
if I'm giving you a ring, whatever you want to call it, if I'm giving you a ring, it's like an indirect way of saying, look, you want to get engaged, I'm not ready yet. So here's something to remind you that I'll still engage you, but not just yet. That's what it's saying, my understanding. So against against that background, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. In fact, I know of certain women that actually advocate for that.
A shut up ring.
Yes. Of course, we're calling it a shut up ring, but they
The
probably
promise
wouldn't
ring.
call it that. Yeah.
Sorry guys, promise ring.
No. Let's call it a shut up ring.
It's a shut up ring.
It's a shut up
It's not a
ring.
promise ring, it's a shut up ring. Someone's giving you a shut up ring just to
Yes.
keep you there and
Because
for
it's
years.
look, and I understand how certain women would advocate for it because it's a step. Whatever you
A
want to
step
call
from
it.
I'm not a girlfriend anymore, I'm a fiance.
Not officially fiance, but something.
I'm a fiance. You put a ring on my finger, boo boo. I'm your fiance. You are my fiance. Okay. Nothing else about you say. Oh, it's not. It's a step up to fiance.
It's a step in between girlfriend. You are now in a position between girlfriend and fiance. It's like we have created that position. Society has created that position. I don't know if it's society or it's the people that give
It's
these
society.
shut up rings, but we have created that position. Initially, it was just girlfriend, fiance, wife.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've created this position now because seems like society demands it. The circumstances around this whole process have created this position because one wants to move from the girlfriend stage to the next stage. Ideally, the next stage is fiance. But the other person is not ready. But they're not ready to lose you either because you're saying, if you don't do this, indirectly you're saying, if you don't do this, if you don't give me a ring, I need someone who's going to give me a ring, so I'll go. Indirectly you're saying that. So how do I shut you up but still keeping. Telling you I'm not ready is not enough. It's not. So, how do I shut you up without losing it? I'm not saying that I don't want to engage you. I'm just saying not yet. So, I give you something that you're going to be happy about. I mean, it's a ring, so women get excited about rings, so it's a ring. I give you a ring, but it's not just the ring. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
do you is the ring about love or status?
It's a symbol. I don't think it's about feelings. Maybe to a certain extent, status, especially. This is my opinion.
Please.
Especially
By all means.
from a woman's point of view, I think there's a slight connotation to status. From a woman's point of view. From a man's point of view, I don't think so when it comes to status. That's why, in general, you find more women who are either engaged or married wearing their rings, but most men do not care about it.
Yeah,
They don't care about it. I've seen men who have their, rings hanging
on the necklace.
On the necklace. Some even just forget. They have to be reminded by their wives. Hello, don't forget the ring at the same time. And then he reluctantly carries it.
Hello, where the ring?
Exactly. So, I think generally for men, it's got nothing to do with status. Does it have anything to do with love? I don't know. But my understanding is, my belief, it's a symbol and a reminder. A symbol of what I am. I'm married or I'm engaged. Yeah, and that symbol is for others to see that, oh, this one is engaged. And it's a reminder now to me. Every time I see it, I get reminded of my vows, I get reminded of the person I've left home and things like that. Yeah. I don't think it has anything to do with love. I don't know. Maybe at the point when you're giving it, because of the decision that you've made.
So it has nothing to do with that?
Oh, we give it because we love someone.
Okay.
We give it because we love someone. But the ring in itself, I think, has got nothing to do with love. The idea of giving a ring or receiving a ring in itself, it has something to do with love. But just the ring itself, I think it's just a reminder of your status in as far as your relationship
commitment to each other.
Yes.
So I was doing research and I came across a couple of red flags, but one that stood out for me is how no woman should have to convince a man to marry her.
No woman
Okay,
should
this one
ever
touched
have-
a nerve because I've seen, instances where that's happened. I myself have done that before.
What word
Not
are we,
not
what
forcing.
word are we using here?
Convincing.
Not pushing? Not forcing?
Not pushing, not pushing, more like convince, like pick me. Be the pick me girl. Where I have to convince you. Just think about the last time that you tried to convince someone to do anything, to love you, to come to something, to be there for you. How'd that make you feel? Not great.
No.
Okay.
You have to look at it from a point of view of human beings being essentially animals,
Okay.
part of the animal kingdom.
Okay.
And all animals are in competition with each other when it comes to finding a mating partner.
Okay.
All animals are in competition with each other. And that does not exclude human beings. There's a
Okay.
reason, one of the reasons why we want to make ourselves look, stand out from everybody else. Because I don't dress up nicely, look good simply for myself, only for myself. Only for myself? Absolutely not. There's a part of me that wants to attract. That is the nature of animals. It's everywhere in the animal kingdom.
Okay.
It's everywhere. So if we are doing certain things deliberately to attract the opposite sex, we are essentially trying to convince the opposite sex, pick me. It's essentially about me being picked and not the other person. Look, when I'm looking for, let's say I meet a certain lady, the first thing I see is how she looks. That's the first thing that is going to get me attracted, how she looks.
Bear in mind that if she got dressed this morning, it wasn't for you.
Well, that's an argument for another day maybe. But bottom line is, the first thing I'm going to see is how she looks. Okay, how she presents herself.
Okay.
I'm going to have to pick one from the other. Even let's assume there are two.
Okay.
It's highly unlikely that I'm going to get attracted to both. Highly unlikely. I'm going to get attracted to one of the two.
Okay.
Okay, one is going to stand out for me. The other can stand out for somebody else. Depends on what it is that we're looking for. But the bottom line is, what I see first is what I get attracted to. Forget about knowing the person, forget about the mannerisms, forget about the behavior. The first thing I'm going to see is how the person looks. Okay? Now, bear in mind that the other person is also seeing other men. What is going to make her, even if I approach her, what is going to make her say yes?
Okay.
I probably won't be the first person nor the last person on that particular day or night to approach her. What is going to make her say yes to me? It comes down to how I'm looking, what I'm going to say, and all those things. Okay? So, essentially, I'm trying to convince the person. Now, the definition of convincing, I think, is what we're talking about here. Convincing, maybe we are saying, me trying to talk to you and telling you, just pick me. But the way I'm dressed is a way of convincing someone.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a way of convincing someone. The way I keep my hair, whatever, it's a way of convincing someone. If I say I don't care how my hair looks, I am trying to say I'm not convincing anyone to like me.
Accept me as I am.
Accept me as I am. I'm not trying to convince you to like me. But if I go an extra mile every morning, I take 1 hour to just prepare my head, my face, and everything. 1 hour. Really? If it's just about me, I'll just dress up and go as long as I'm covered.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for as long as I am in, in the process of searching, if you like, for as long as I'm searching for a mate, then I am trying to convince every other woman with everything I do, the way I dress, the way I walk, the way I talk, how much beer I buy. Oh, that's the thing. It's another way of convincing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't think it's true that, and it goes both ways. You said no woman should ever have to convince a man
To marry
yeah,
her.
it goes both ways.
Do you think a man who is ready to get married needs convincing?
Depends on the definition of being ready, I think.
What was ready for you?
And now it's getting personal. Nice. I think from a man's point of view, there's no such thing as being ready. I think it's society.
So a man is never.
No. I'm not saying a man is never ready.
Okay.
I'm just saying from a man's point of view, generally speaking, there is no such thing as being ready. What is being ready? Does being ready meaning reaching a certain age? Does being ready mean you having a certain amount of money? Does being ready mean you having a home?
Touch
or a house?
long on that one when you're saying, does being ready mean you have to be a certain age? I'm getting older, so yes, I'm ready to get married. Are you though?
Exactly. So I think the definition of being ready is quite broad. It's quite broad. Society can define me as being ready because 1, I've reached a certain age. 2, I have a stable job. 3, I can afford to maybe financially take care of 2-3 people. Then society deems me to be ready. But am I ready myself? Am I emotionally ready to share a home, a bed with someone for the rest of my life? Maybe not. So society can think that I'm ready, but I'm not. So when you look at it from that perspective, yes, you may need to convince someone that you are actually ready, because they can have everything, but emotionally they are not ready. So they may need some form of, conversation to let them realize that yes, it's okay to share a bed with someone for the rest of your life. So if you look at it from that perspective, I think it's okay to convince someone. I don't think there's anything wrong.
Nothing wrong.
I don't think there's anything wrong. What is wrong is pushing someone. That's why I asked about the word we're using.
The shut up. The pressure.
The pressure.
Because
Yes.
you're pushing someone.
You're pushing someone.
Yes,
Pushing someone.
that is essentially what it is. You are pushing someone.
Convincing and pushing are two
Marriage.
different things.
Well,
Convincing
it's
and
not around the
pushing.
corner, actually. It's like, push you, then, okay, look, this is why we should get married. Hello. Like,
Pushing is a situation where it can actually happen even after you convince someone. Okay, let's assume the analogy I was giving where someone has everything. Okay, society tells us you have to reach a certain age, you have to have a stable job, or not necessarily a stable job, but source of income
yes.
to take care of the
This
person
is the
that
person
are
that
going
you-
to
yes,
be
this is
under
gonna
you.
be your family.
Exactly. So if those things are available, society tells us that you're ready. But there's also emotional readiness. There's also being ready physically as well. Okay, so now those
Physically?
things. Topic for another day.
Okay.
But so those things you may need to be talked to, if you like.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be the partner who's talking to you. It could be in Western cultures. It could be a psychologist who's telling you that no, it's okay. You're ready. It's okay.
Oh, that sounds like pressure and pull. And, okay.
No. Pressure is where now we say I am ready. Fine, I'm ready. But let's do this maybe next year. Okay, because of whatever reason, maybe next year. But then you, after 2 months, you come and say, you know what, let's just do it now.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Now.
Now.
What are we waiting for? Now.
Finish today, do it. Yeah.
What are we waiting for? No,
See.
no. Another 2 months later, you come again. Well, let's just do it. And you know, when that keeps happening, it kind of brings in a question what your intentions could be.
So is that where resentment also comes in?
Yes. And the more you push, the more it comes out like you've got ulterior motives. Maybe there's something you're running from, or maybe there's something that you're running into. So now, I start also, thinking and taking a step back to say, wait a minute, why is this person so pushy when it comes to this thing? Why can't they just wait these few months that we've agreed that they should wait?
I've asked for.
So the more you talk about it, actually, the more it makes me not to be
Not want to?
not want to get into the whole thing. So yeah, convincing, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Okay.
I think we look, every human being should be proud to go after what they want.
Yeah.
Okay, that includes women. So if you've seen a man, you like the man, as far as you're concerned, he has everything. What is stopping you from just sitting him down and telling him, dude, let's do this? That's convincing. But pushing is where you actually agree that we are doing this, and then you start, every 10 minutes we talk about it, every 10 minutes we talk about it, every 10 minutes, that's pushing. And that is downright irritating.
So quickly, before I let you go, I came across something. So whether you agree or not, I had to write it down because as we get older, our memories.
I know, right?
Now, a shut-up ring is a choice. The minute you settle for less than you deserve, you get even less than you settled for. That's my last word. I'm leaving you. So that's something for you too. A shut-up ring is a choice. The minute you settle for less than you deserve, you get even less than you settled for. Yay or nay? Do you agree?
I don't.
You don't agree?
I don't agree.
You get even less than you settled for. The minute you settle for less than you deserve.
By saying that, we are assuming that a shut-up ring is less than whatever it is that you're comparing to. If you are comparing it to an engagement ring, yes, it is less.
It is a shut-up engagement ring.
Yeah, it's less than your normal engagement ring. Okay, but you're now comparing it to something greater, and there will always be something greater. until you get to marriage. But if you're comparing it to where you're coming from, it's more. It's more. It's an action. It's a commitment. You were just my girlfriend, and I could have left at any point. But at this point, I have made a commitment of some sort.
That's taken a bit longer than usual.
Well, it depends on who's defining the period.
So should we say if it takes longer than 4 years for you guys to get married, or 5 years, should you leave or should you stay?
When you decide to leave, should not be defined by someone else's definition of a period. It's entirely up to you. If you think 3 months is too long, you can leave. You can leave. I don't want to tie myself to the 4 years or 10 years or 5 years, but it comes down to the people involved. If you think 3 months is too long, you leave. If you think 4 years is too long, you leave. It's that simple. But then, here's the question. After having waited for 4 years, why leave? I mean, you've waited for 4 years.
Why leave?
Why leave? You've endured 4 years. Chances are, the period that is remaining is shorter than the period where you're coming from. Anything can happen anyway. Anything can happen.
So would you give a shut up ring?
I would.
You would.
I would. To shut somebody up, yeah.
But is that fair?
It depends on the reason why it's being done, and it depends on what comes after that, if anything.
You're shutting her up. You're saying,
Yes.
okay, please shut up about this engagement.
Okay, shut
Here
up
it is.
about this engagement.
And then-
we will talk about it after this period. In the
Which is-
meantime, celebrate this. Okay?
So you're waiting for that period. You're waiting for that.
We are waiting for that period.
But she's mostly the one who's waiting. Like, yo, every time she leaves, they're like, ni money, je vais aller me go get avec ta party picture, tika mo
From
kwai."
your understanding, from your information, have you ever heard of a man who has willingly given a shut-up ring?
Okay, you know what? You're putting me on the spot there.
Yeah.
Like I said, my friend in the diaspora
Yeah.
willingly did give one.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, not willingly. Okay, he was kind of like, you know.
It was a response.
It was kind of, yeah, like, oh, here it is. Okay, willingly, I don't know that many people. I don't know enough people to say.
Okay, that's fine. But look, I strongly believe giving someone a shut-up ring. That's why I said from the very onset that maybe it's the phrase, the
A
term
promise
that we're
ring.
referring to it that makes it, seem like it's a bad thing.
You
But
say
I strongly believe it is a step from just boyfriend and girlfriend to something before we get to engagement. Remember, I did mention that to get to an engagement, there are a lot of things that have to happen. The engagement doesn't happen in a vacuum. There are a lot of things that have to happen. But in the meantime, we both need assurances that we'll still be together up to the point when we're going to do the actual engagement. Even I want those assurances. So if I give you a promise ring or a shut-up ring and you refuse, it gives me an indication that you might not say yes
To
at the
the
point
actual.
of engagement. Yes, because I also need assurances. So I still believe it's a step. It becomes a problem if after giving you the engagement ring, there is no conversation around the actual engagement. If there's no conversation around that, to the effect that we are still going to do this at some point, even if the date hasn't been set, which usually is the case. We don't set a date for an engagement. But if there's no conversation around it after giving you the shut-up ring, then there's a problem. Because then I'm shutting you up, I'm shutting you out, technically. Yeah. But if we are still talking about having conversations about our future and what we are going to do and stuff like that, yeah. But look, that being said, there still has to be, these conversations have to center around what it is that you're going to do. And yes, you also have to talk about time frames. Okay? I think let me just point this out. If there are no time frames being discussed, then there's something wrong with both of you. seriously speaking, if there's no time frame being discussed, then there's something wrong with both of you. I can give you a shut-up ring today. The engagement has to happen at some point. Okay, we normally do not discuss when the engagement is going to happen, but obviously there has to be a discussion as to when approximately we can have the marriage happening. Those conversations should happen. If those conversations are not happening, you can throw the shut-up ring. Yeah. So the most important thing is get the promise ring. Yes, you get the promise ring, but what conversations are happening after that? If there are no time frames being discussed, because under normal circumstances, you can't just keep waiting forever. If you're going to wait for 10 years, let there be an agreement that we'll get married after
10 years.
Yes. And both of you have to agree. And if that happens, society may look at you to say, hey, she's been waiting for 10 years, but they don't know that there was an agreement.
Yeah.
But if you're just waiting and waiting, there's also something wrong with you. Why aren't you bringing up the conversation? So I strongly believe there's nothing wrong with it. And it's a step. It should be happily accepted. It should be happily given. Maybe we should change the name of the ring, but it should be happily given. But after that, there should be continuous conversations around when you are actually going to get married. Basically, conversations about the future for the two of you.
Okay. I love you saying happily given, happily accepted. Okay.